Hello and welcome to TFT Worlds Last Chance Qualifiers, game number 1.
Finally loading into game 1 of the Western Last Chance Qualifier. 8 players, but only 2 spots. And it's going to be a very interesting tournament because it's not just playing for top 4s, it's not just playing like you do on ladder or in some tournaments in day 1 and 2. It's trying to play for those very high cap boards, trying to get wins, trying to get a whole ton of points to end up in that top 2 spot.
Yeah, it's an absolutely brutal format. But, you know, everyone is always looking for that second chance. If you make it through the LCQ, you have got a spot just as good as anybody else. And we remember, of course, last time around, Ging made it through our LCQ and then did the best out of any of the EMEA players.
Another player that made it through LCQ was Lucas. Lucas, a player that is, he seems to like this stage coming back to the LCQ. But looking at the Mirage for this game, it will be Spell Sword Enchantment. Very important to note, especially for a player like Tech Summers who loves playing Deja. Every single Mirage variant is viable in his eyes, and he's a player that we might see actually trying to go for that Deja later on in stage 3 or 4.
Of course, we know that we certainly, from the various different regional finals, Grey Seraphine is absolutely everywhere.
It's the bear.
Well, of course, this goes without saying. We need to be paying attention to the Shimmer Scale item. All we need is the Jax online, and then Bricks, who, of course, again, deals in domination, will be able to get an incredibly strong start.
It's very sunny in Alicante, but I think the Relentless Storm will start very early on in this game with Bricks finding the harder Shimmer Skill units to find. Of course, it is a 3-cost, 2 Nasus in the shop as well. And all he needs after this is going to be a Jax, and he's online getting that Shimmer Skill very, very early on and able to start working on that econ to try and go for Fast 9. And Mortdog, he's watching, he's pushing the buttons. Right away, we have a Prismatic Augment to start things off at 2-1.
Well, and we do remember, of course, that we have got the Mirage to consider, but it's going to be Lucky Gloves. So we've got the immediate power coming out. And of course, we get to see on a frontline unit like Nasus, double Warmogs. That's a wall that's never falling.
The Kaisa has been found. The Malphite has been found. A very good start for Bricks in that case. Goes for as well. We're seeing now Salvi rerolls already. This is, of course, in most prismatic games, you get the first prismatic augment. There's a bigger variance between the best prismatic augments and the worst, and I think a reroll does make sense. It is justified here, but that means no more rerolls for Salvi later on. If he finds, a bad selection of augments, he might just have to deal with it in stage 3 or stage 4.
So we did have an option here to go for the high roll and try and go deeply down the path of the Astrals, but instead they've gone the opposite direction and gone for the most generic augment possible. That Cybernetic Shell will keep the front line up. We have got the Sunfire coming in. Toddy has got the, well, I think slightly stronger ball right now. We'll see. The new recruit allowing them a lot of extra bodies on the field. I think for now, Salvi's going to be sitting back in this game and letting other people take charge.
Yeah, Salvi only level 3, did not go to 4. Has a lot of 1-cost pairs on the bench, so that does, the math does check out in that case. But it means that Salvi is happy and content to lose streak this stage 2, maybe work on that gold instead, and try and come back later on in stage 4 and be a menace that can actually take this lobby. Like you mentioned, Cybernetic Shell, I think, is a very generic augment. Salvi's a very flexible player. I understand why he leans towards it. And it's especially good in comps like Seraphine Graves, a comp he played a lot in the EMEA regional finals. And a comp that is very good, especially in the mirror match. If there is another player playing Graves Seraphine, Cybernetic Shell especially is very good in that case.
Yeah, want to get in as much defensive stats as possible to reinforce those shields. So, 1 round in, we've got Tech Summers and the Salvi, along with Preston, taking some pretty heavy L's. Bricks riding the very narrow edge there, only taking 2 HP loss so far.
Just maybe not ideal. If he was hoping to win streak with that Shimmer Skill with a Volibear, obviously Volibear is a very, very good unit. Aside from generating Econ and getting that 3 Shimmer Skill online, it's just a very good unit all throughout the early stages of the game, but that loss means that he's not going to be able to win streak in the entirety of this stage 2, which will maybe propel him eons ahead of everyone else when it comes to gold. Win streak plus Shimmer Skill is a dangerous combo to have in a lobby like this.
Well, certainly Bricks will be able to take advantage of that up against Salvi, their fellow EMEA competitor, handing another L across, though notably, no Bricks Jax as of yet, so they haven't got to get that first Shimmer Skill item online and really start getting things going. But let's put our eyes a little bit further afield as we check out Lucas from Brazil. They've got themselves an early setup. The Prismatic Knife's Edge means there's a ton of AD in this comp.
Yeah, and that's going to lean mostly towards Yone in this case. If you can find a spatula for that bow, that would be fantastic. They get the Swift Shot emblem online, a comp we've been seeing all throughout this last month in TFT. Very, very strong reroll comp that has been, kind of in the making and being perfected and optimized all throughout the different regionals we've been seeing. But it could also be Shio Yu Siphon. It could be that Jade Whispers comp later on in stage 4 once those dragons can be found. A comp that has been nerfed a few times in the last few patches, but could still be a viable comp to get a good top 4 to play high tempo in stage 4.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on what Lucas ends up putting together, but I do agree it does seem they're going to get a lot of benefit. As we check in with Bricks again, they just seem to be following us around everywhere we go. But still, no matter how far they go, they can't find that Jackson. They can't get fully online. Again, Bricks has only taken the 1 L so far. Got a good little item selection here for Volibear, of course, who seem to be an excellent item holder across many, many competitions.
One thing we have not mentioned yet, Nomzy is going to be Cannoneer for this game. There have been recent buffs to Cannoneer. Some of these players that played in the regionals didn't have this buff online yet. They might not be as familiar, but Bricks actually played it in day 3 of the EMEA finals. He got a 6th place in the game 1, so not ideal. But it's a comp he has played in the past, he has experience with, and he knows what it is to play 6 Cannoneer, maybe just 4. Once you transition to that Swain board, you dropped out the Nomzy instead, and you try and go for Graves as a carry outside of that Graves Seraphine.
All right, so again, as we come to our carousel and get our little pickup of items here, let's again take the flavor of the lobby. Deleted is up at the top. Only undefeated player so far. Salvi at the bottom. We noted before they were lost streaking, but they have taken maybe just a tad more damage than they would have liked.
And yeah, all these HP totals make sense to me, except for Prestivan. Prestivan's a player that is known to play very aggressively in stages 2 and 3 and 4. He usually has a little gold, but lots of HP because he invests that gold very wisely into trying to win streak and stay healthy all throughout the early game. In this case, almost tying Salvi for last place in the HP. The opposite for Josue, a player that we know likes playing aggressively, likes leveling early, likes win streaking stages 2 and 3, and that's the case here, currently sitting top of the standings.
And of course, we notice we do have ourselves another knife edge coming through here, which definitely will be slowing things down if things do end up going that Jade direction. Interesting choice, of course, of the Gwynsus as well. We're seeing Senna being used as a very strong, again, early item holder to provide deleted with their early success.
Not many traits online, mostly just the 2-star units that are going to be very powerful here, especially with the extra stats from Knife's Edge, even more so in this case. The Senna in an unorthodox position in the front low, trying to make use of that extra AD, and generally going to stay quite protected thanks to The Rock. Dwayne Johnson, still 1-star though, in that front line on Sejuani, but in this case, the front line does melt a little bit too quickly. Cybernetic uplink going to help with the Lagoon stacks for this Talia. And can Ezreal and Senna do it here? The last embrace comes out. Talia survives. The flowing volley onto the Senna is almost going to be enough. Ezreal taken down. Fury of the Dawn on the Nasus. Oh, it's not going to be quite enough. The Rage Blade stacking a little bit too fast. The Bloodthirster keeping Senna alive in that front line-ish position. And the win goes to Josue. Still a 4-win streak for him.
Yeah, we need to see as well what they're going to be doing at this point. They have got an opportunity, if they want to go for it, to level up again and make sure they keep hold of their win streak. We can see that Salvi, one of their potential opponents for next round, so probably not too worried about them. We could Prestivan down there as well, also presumably lost streaking. The only real problem here is if they go up against Lucas, who may be trying to climb further up the table. Very
important fight here for Josue to keep his econ intact. A very strong board, bit of a mishmash though. We'll see if he can do it. And meanwhile, Prestivan and Salvi, the HP better together, both at 70 at the bottom. Loose streaking, I imagine, all throughout this stage 2. The fight here against Lucas, Peter. Do you think the Senna can do it with Diana jumping right behind her at the very start?
Well, we've got Knife's Edge on both sides, so it's knives out from the very beginning. Of course, this is the big thing to try and keep the win streak going for Jose. It's going to be pretty dicey, as you can see. We've saw again and again that Yone is such a good carry, and it looks like nobody is going to make it out alive.
Big loss there for Josue. He would have loved to obviously get the win streak all the way into Krugs. Krugs essentially a free round for whatever streak you are getting online. For anyone that is maybe a little bit confused, INP deleted is, of course, Josue. INP is the team he represents, and that's simply his in-game name, but we will be referring to him as Josue on the broadcast here today.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure to keep track of that, and hopefully you guys will be able to get to know them pretty well by the time it's all said and done. Coming out of stage 2, though, we have got Bricks, again, the player who specifically said to us that they were going to be...
Is that an early Deja online? This man, he knows how to hit. He knows how to whisper in Mortdog's ear to get those big, strong units early on into the game. Deja is one of those units that really transforms the early game, one of the strongest units in terms of the AoE damage from Wind Blast, especially in stages 2 and 3.
It's almost becoming something of a meme here, just to find a random Deja to turn the game around. But honestly, with what Bricks has got, again, a player looking to be dominant, as I was saying before, they are definitely one of the new players to the competitive scene, doing incredibly well. But the big struggle they had, of course, was being able to exist in these kind of environments, particularly here, a very high-stakes situation. We did get a chance to talk to Bricks a little bit, and they actually said they were more confident now in this event because they're not going up against the players they know as well in this kind of context.
Yeah, a bit nervous just simply because of the stacked lobby we saw in the final day in EMEA. Some of the biggest legends in the region were all there. Dasik, Lelouch, Solgasang as well, Salvi, of course. And Brix, was just not quite ready for a stage of that caliber. In this case, more of a mix and match of different regions, and I think Brix is going to do really fantastic. He's been a player that I think has really proved it to us in the last 2 sets in EMEA. And if he hits a Deja early, I think that definitely helps him as well.
A quick level up as well. Brix making sure as best they can their win streak stays intact. We'll see who they're up against. So Carmex, you'll see they've got themselves a decent amount of Lagoon stack. Of course, we haven't talked a ton about Lagoon so far, but of course, another one of our economic traits, which can get you a decent amount of money before potentially dipping out, usually around 80 stacks when you get that first item component in.
More than money, and something that many players and people just don't talk about too much, is the fact that you get a Reforger, which means you can try and go for those good, perfect, optimal items for that Grave Seraphine comp. And you also get, extra components. When you pick up Cybernetic Uplink, you have that chance to get the extra value, especially from a prismatic augment like this one. And Kurum, we saw him playing Grave Seraphine all throughout day 3 of NA Regionals. And I think he hasn't changed his mind too much, especially with a great augment for the comp. I think that's definitely the direction he's going to go in. We saw the Vow has already been built, which I think is a clear indication he's going to try and play for Grave Seraphine for that stage 4.
So our second augments are starting to come in. We can see already we've got Mirage building up. But we've got some interesting choices here for Tech Summers. We haven't seen a ton of them so far. Again, a player who likes to play towards the later games. We can see the Kaiser itemization as it goes up to 2-star. We don't have the actual Shimmer scale online here, but we've got most of a reroll Kaiser composition, or at least perhaps a more temporary version.
Shimmer scale is online. Gambler's Blade is the item. Not the best, but not the worst. I think definitely somewhere in the middle, and definitely something that can work when you have a 2-star carry like Kai'Sa already. Jewel Lotus, essentially that 4th item for any of these AP carries later into the game. Binary Airdrop as well.
Wow.
Which is not great in this position. Going to be a Zeke's Herald into nothingness from Kai'Sa. Very lonely in the back, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. We haven't seen a ton of the Binary Airdrop coming in, but Correx maybe it's got a read on this that we don't have. So the Binary Airdrop should at least get some more items online, even if they're a little hard to navigate. Currently on a lost streak and towards the bottom of the table. Apparently, that's about to come to an end at the expense of Carmex, who will drop down into the bottom 4 pretty convincingly.
Binary Airdrop is an interesting augment where it doesn't really hit the peak of the board strength right when you pick it, especially early in 2-1, because you don't really have enough items to make use of it. It starts making that much more of a difference, in the middle of the game when you hit this next carousel and you're able to distribute those items a bit more and get more value out of this augment. And especially later into the game, you get more and more value. It continues to scale into the late game.
We will be heading across through Precedent, of course. We expected to see them trying to be relatively aggressive. We are seeing the components coming together of a Seraphine Graves composition, but they have taken a ton of damage. This is something of Control's Descent. This is a lost streak, but I mean, they've taken so much damage now. Do you think, going forward from this point, this is going to make things trickier for Precedent to navigate?
It's not his usual playstyle, not where he feels comfortable, not where we saw him, the playstyle we saw in NA Regionals at the very least. But he has a good setup. He has Cybernetic Uplink as well, Thrill of the Hunt 2, and he could also be angling for the Grave Seraphine comp we saw so often in both EMEA and NA. If all these players go for the same comp, though, that's going to be very hard for everyone to hit Graves 2, and whoever doesn't might end up taking a bot 4 in this game 1.
I mean, we're already seeing some of that competition coming to the fore here. Tech Summers also running the Kaiser item carrier, as you noted before. It's going to slow down everybody getting to where exactly they want to be. This could actually be the end of the lost streak of Precedent. It's going to be pretty tight, but yes, barely holding on. Tech Summers keeps the lost streak alive for Precedent. And also, crucially, gives them the minimum amount of damage they could have taken while still keeping the gold flowing in.
AKA good loss for Preston going into this carousel. First pick as well, so has a chance to continue finding those optimal items for the comp he wants, which I assume still is going to be, looking for that Graves with a chain vest. Liquid Kurum X steals it away. The battle of the Americans there on the carousel. Unfortunate placement, really, because he had first pick, which was on the wrong side. So that's, I think, maybe the worst kind of RNG there is in TFT. You have no control over whatsoever. Very, very feels bad man there for Preston.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, give me armories for days. I'll be there. All guns blazing. But yeah, for Precedent, Karamex above them on the table by nearly a clean 20. Brix, of course, does remain up at the top of the table, has kept that win streak intact with, I think, a pretty solid showing. We've got, of course, the very early Deja was mentioned before. We've got the chance to build up potentially another Thieves Gloves to take advantage of the Lucky Gloves augment and give, another strong unit straight on the board.
Has a Spatula still open, can go for a vertical Mirage if he chooses to. Could build a Hand of Justice, hasn't done so. I think that really shows how Brix knows exactly how strong he is. He knows he doesn't necessarily have to slam items to continue this win streak. When he sees a hard matchup and he says, hey, I might lose this, I might have to slam this, he might decide to do so. But for now, I'm going to choose to just keep it pretty open right here.
All right, let's see what Jose has got for us. We've got now the 3-item center, doing a good job of at least trying to remove one unit from the field. But you can see Brix, with the consequence of Brix needing to keep ramping up their power level to keep their win streak going, is that they are putting out some pretty heavy losses to everyone they face up against.
Curious to see what Salvi is doing. He's win streaking, but he's also picked Portable Forge as a second augment. Some of those Portable Forge items are very relevant in terms of what you get picked, in terms of what you can surprise your opponents with if they're not scouting properly as well. And we're seeing it there. The Giga Chad Vlad transfusions for days in that front lane with the Sunfire already built in as well. Very, very tanky and opting to play some Lux reroll, it looks like. And he's almost at 3-star already, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely huge. The quality of the Astral drops goes up astronomically once you start really getting them all in place. One thing we are missing here for our friend Lux, though, no casting item to help her get off a few more casts quickly. But as you say, the front line is very, very good. Let's see what up against. Salvi is on a win streak right now. Going to be up against our friends with the proto setup here. Pressman, of course, building towards that Graze Surfing comp. Again, they're not there quite yet, but they have got the Protectors around the front line, which will keep them nice and healthy. For Salvi, of course, you saw the EMEA regional finals, fighting back from the brink on the final day to barely make it to the last chance qualifiers. Our Golden Spatula Cup #1 winner with a lot to prove.
Giga Vlad finally dies. Lux is still alive, but I think she still has to deal one more big Cosmic Flare in the direction of Kaisa, but the stun, the grasping spines from Zyra lock her up for a second, and that's just enough time for the Morello to do its thing. Anti-heal on both sides, but in the end, it is Salvi's win streak rather, taking a loss.
Yeah, and Salvi wasn't the only one to lose out on that win streak. Brix is also no longer streaking. Tex, instead, is the only one streaking coming out of stage #3. So, I mean, we saw this a lot, again, in our previous events. The win streaks get me a really lot, tending to get hit pretty heavily once the other boards start to spike.
Very curious what Kerm's board is going to look like. He's gone level 7 now at Wolves. He's going to be rolling for Graves, if I'm not mistaken, considering the Graves he got off the Carousel earlier on and his augment choice as well. I'm very, very interested in where those rolls go, but we also have Tech Summers here rolling for a Kaisa, gets a Jax and a Malphite there as well. Great stability in that front line, and now it's all about this. 3 Kaisas to go. If he's uncontested, this is one of the strongest comps we've been seeing at the Chinese regionals as well. Only 2 off now, Peter. Ooh. Can he do it? How far does he roll now at this point in the game?
Well, we have to assume now that Summer has been scouting out and making sure that the previous item holders of the Kaisers aren't getting in the way. Tex is not going to take this any further. They do have the opportunity to push further, get that Kaiser 3, and almost guarantee themselves the win streak. They chose not to up against Jose. Let's see if they've got anything better, as we're actually going to be seeing our friend Zippy join the field, now fully itemized.
The Zipster comes in. Kaisa almost comes down because that hit was massive. Zippy takes down the Kaisa. Maybe some different positioning might have to come into play for Tex there. Going to be a loss in this case. Could have rolled a bit further for that Kaisa. 3 opts to say, hey, I'm still pretty healthy, 76 HP. I'm going to work on my econ instead, because this Kaisa, you want to get a 3-star and then you want to start leveling like crazy, going to 9 as soon as possible and trying to cap off this board to fight against those dragons that will be coming later in stages 5 and 6.
Yeah, I mean, from right now at least, Zippy doing a great job, Jose, to get access to that back line, as we will be having our final augment of game and #1 of the 6 taking place here today. Of course, for anyone who is tuning in late, our players will be looking to try and take one of those 2 spots at the very top and get through to the Dragonlance Championship next week. Our augments will be Oasis. We're sticking with the Lagoon to the bitter end.
He's looking for that promised land, and I think the Kaisa 3 will give it to him. He's only 1 away now, has a Lee Sin pair that he'll put that in when he goes to level 7. I'm going to imagine he's thinking, do I want to waste the gold for this now, or do I want to just keep rolling for Kaisa? How far down do you want to go? If it's contested, no, it's not going to be, because that's the Kaisa 3, the big upgrade Tech Summers was looking for. We talked about him, a player that likes to play like Kivix did in NA. He values the fast 9s, he values the AP boards, and this will get him there.
The only problem, of course, for Tex is it didn't happen 1 round earlier to keep their streak intact. Instead, they spend a lot of money up against Kermex, who has got the comp put together. We've got the Edge of Night and the Gwynsu's on the grave, so keep your eye on them. Of course, Kaiser on the backline will continue to pump out tons of damage the whole way through. The shields are holding for now. Nice stun but will not do too much more. We've got the cast coming in. They're going to tear through quite a lot. There's no healing item there. And Summers, despite finding what they were looking for, get hit right in the face.
The Zeeks is back again. I'm not sure what's going on with the Zeeks, but please, no more Zeeks onto this guy. So give her a different item. Talking about Kurum, though, it's like, you know, he whispered to the game, hey, I want to play Grave Seraphine in the first game. Please, can you hook me up? He has a cybernetic uplink. He has the preparation. He had the Graves off the first carousel or second carousel in stage 3. And now he has the Graves, too. And I think a very easy stage 4 for Kurum, who's able to stabilize at 46. And now players are going to start dropping down below him because they will not have hit as much as he has at this point.
Okay, we get a chance here. This is new to me, actually. The augment display at the far right of your screen right now. We can see there that Lucas in particular jumping out at me. Double knife's edge. That's an absolute ton of AD.
Curious what he has decided to go for. Is it going to be that Jade Whispers comp, or is it going to be something like Yone reroll, for example? We haven't seen much of Lucas just yet, but first let's check out Kurum as he tries to stabilize, as he tries to get the prep stacks going, as he tries to get to the 3 stars as well. Already has Graves too, that's the big one. Rage Blade stacking as well. Edge of Night, maybe the most important item. And yeah, Toddy is going to be going for this Siphon here as well. The Rampage on that backline. The Seraphine will die first, and then it will be the Zeri, but for now, Siphon's not doing much of anything.
No, and then you can see it's trying desperately to get onto that Graves. Edge of Night, of course, said will mess up a lot of the targeting. Graves staying alive, but the rest of the comp are falling to pieces. Even though we do see the L here, of course, we've got to remember, we were talking about Siphon as a comp that maybe multiple players could be going for, and it's Toddy who's towards the bottom of the table and thus most incentivized to spend all their money right now, who's hit it first.
I'm curious to see where this carousel goes. Spatula. We had Bricks had a Spatula open. I'm not sure if he still has it open right now. If he does, that could be a Tactician's Crown. And Bricks is a player that's currently sitting top of the HP. Maybe didn't have to slam items right away, so he might have the Spatula open. And if no one else is looking for a Spatula right now, that might be a very easy Tactician's Crown for him. Although, players are scouting. They know, we can't just give a player a Tactician's Crown. This is the only top 2 go to Dragonlance Championship. We can't just give him the free pass in Game 1.
No, absolutely not. I mean, any mistake is going to haunt the players for a very long time going forward. It's such an incredible opportunity for our players who work so hard across the seasons, across so many different tournaments, to have even made it to the regional finals. The chance now here in the LCQ, this is something for particularly for the 6 players who don't make it through. They're going to be remembering for a very long time.
We see there, the third item was placed on the Kai'Sa. You do not want to play the item roulette with binary airdrop. Instead, just guarantee that value right there with that third good item and let everyone else get value instead. We see the Volibear and the Zac, for example. That Spatula can become a Dragonmancer's crest or emblem later on as well once you find that rod, and that'll give you the big power spike for Dragonmancer at level 7 before Tex is able to go level 8.
So we've got 2 players towards the bottom, Prestivan and Toddy. Prestivan, of course, with a pretty solid item set on the backline. Of course, our friend Zeke's making the big return. Unfortunately, Graves isn't quite the monster he promises to be later on because, as we noted at the beginning, we're expecting to see this comp heavily contested. It's going to be very tight towards the end. I think one more cast from Kai'Sa's going to do it.
Oh, so close. The Thrill could have done it for the Graves comp, but no, Kai'Sa stays alive. And actually, I made a mistake, Peter. I said 3-item Kai'Sa. No, it's a 4-item Kai'Sa. We have dual Lotus as well, which makes this hyper carry that much more hyper in her cast for the Lagoon stacks and just damage as well.
So let's do some fortune telling here for Tex. We've got a comp online right now. We've got a 2-cost reroll carry. How far through the game can this take Tex? Is it one to ride all the way to the end?
I thought not very far, but I have been proven wrong throughout the last 2 weeks. Kai'Sa got a few nerfs, the reroll Kai'Sa comps in particular, but she's been popping off in every regional I watch, especially China, which is, as we know, a region that really warps the meta in their favor. They are the trendsetters for the most part in TFT. So if I see China playing it, I'm going to expect this to do well today here.
All right, let's find out what Lucas is up to, our LCQ returner. He gets to spend a little bit of time with our friend Zippy as well, though no vulnerable backline to be taken out this time around. We do have ourselves a very, very strong Olaf who's taken advantage of all those knives added to the axe for a handy knife axe that will tear through most of the comp with ease.
This is a very, very interesting board from Lucas. He hasn't quite finished on what we would consider a meta comp. It looks like he's playing Stand United value, but without Stand United. He has just a whole lot of traits activated, but more horizontal than vertical in this case. Only 2 skills for him, but still popping off with his Olaf as the main carry. I'm not surprised. So much extra AD from the augments.
Yeah, I mean, that Olaf is going to hit like an absolute truck. But let's take a quick look through our economy laid out here as we've got ourselves the Treasure Dragon coming in. we can see that there's a few players who are looking a lot less rich than the others.
Yeah, Lucas is going to have problems here, I think. He has no gold to work with. I think he's looking to transition into Siphon and Xiaoyu, but only has one Xiaoyu, no Siphons whatsoever. And this is the case where he might be very strong now, currently leading in the HP, but he's going to start falling off very quickly. He has level 8, though, so it's not the end of the world. He has already leveled up. He just hasn't used the econ to stabilize just yet.
I do want to call out Prestament as well. Much like Lucas doesn't have any money, but also doesn't have any HP, doesn't have any streak either. This could be a disaster of a first game for them.
Taji and Prestivan rather in a bad spot indeed. We're seeing here, Kurum X and Prestivan were kind of contesting each other in stage 3. Now we see the Brazilians contesting each other on the Jade comp. Guys, you have to get things.
This is the regional playstyle. You just play the same thing as each other.
I'm not sure that's how it works out. If we want 2 of the same players from a region to go through, this is not how it's done, Peter. At least our EMEA guys, they know the drill. Bricks playing Mirage, Salvi playing something entirely different.
All right, so Toddy, one of our players who has got a little bit of money towards the bottom, as we are seeing, this will be a pretty popular lobby for our Siphon friends. Of course, keeping an eye out for being knocked off on the back. Our friend Olaf quietly chewing his way through the composition. You can see that 1v1, Olaf can't be beat. Doesn't have any CC removal, but doesn't need it because the rest of the comp is staying alive for such a long time.
Yeah, the Siphon has power, but not quite enough. Taji taken down to 3 HP. He might be our first player eliminated in this game 1. And Bricks at 69 HP. Nice, Peter. We're going to see him with the Deja, I think, still as a carry. And we're going to see if he stays on Mirage, if he's used that spatula for anything. I'm curious to see that, if our observer can take us to Bricks' board and see exactly, just a quick peek at what he's done with that spatula. I'm very, very curious. But first, Taji just rolling, trying to fix something on his board, trying to stay alive in this day 1.
Oh boy, Toddy. Well, Pressman, of course, this is amazing news for them. Again, top 2 players are the ones that go through, so even if you're towards the bottom of this particular lobby, even being 1 spot higher is amazing. Toddy, if they go out this round, Pressman will be thanking the lucky stars. As will we say, we have got Salvi here, who has, of course, been working the Astral angle for a while. They still don't have a mana item on their Lux, but what they do have is an absolute ton of damage.
A lot of armor as well. Cybernetic Shell, both Gold and Prismatic Virgin. We see a lot of players doubling down on an augment they chose in stage 2-1, trying to get even more of that particular stat. Siphon chose to bite the wrong unit, going to be taken down by this next Cosmic Flare. He can jump, he can rampage his way through, but won't be able to do it. Can Xiaoyu do it, actually? I don't think this Giga Vlad is Giga enough to actually take down a dragon like Xiaoyu. The 1-2 punch will come through, and Vlad, the transfusion comes through, stays alive a little bit longer. I don't think it can possibly be enough.
No!
Oh my goodness, the Giga Vlad, the name comes true.
What
was that?
He's a Giga Emperor, Vlad. Get it right. That was absolutely astonishing, but Toddy has gone, so everybody towards the bottom 4 is thanking the lucky stars. Salvi hits 3-star Varus. I think we might be about to enter the phase of the game where the bottom players really start to rise up the table.
Josue's in big trouble as well. We see now 3 players in total have gone for a comp that isn't necessarily considered the strongest comp of the meta that should be 3-way contested at this point in game 1. Xiaoyu Siphon for Josue as well. JG, Bloodthirster, Hand of Justice, secondary carry Jace, who is a 2-star, whereas Xiaoyu has no items on her just yet. It's all about Siphon, and Siphon is up in the air, Peter.
Yeah, we know and love the Zephyrs. It's going to be Salvi's Ghost walking these here halls. We have seen again, it's so incredibly reliant on Lux to get the damage done. Has just got the Zeeks to help pump up the power, but when she lands those shots across the bow, everything it gets deleted, if you'll pardon the phrase.
And that's going to be it for Josue as well. 2 players now taken down. The chomp on the Vlad, we saw it there, didn't even kill him because it's a 3-star Vlad with Cybernetic Shell, Prismatic, and Gold. Lots of armor on that unit, and I guess that explains why the Vlad survived for so long as well against that Xiaoyu. The mystery is starting to be solved little by little.
It's a murder mystery right now. We've got, as I say, Josue and Toddy both out of the mix. Salvi on 22. Bricks, of course, has remained up at the top of the table for a long time, not win streaking, but riding that early success.
Prestivan desperate for some stabilization, for some damage, it looks like as well, finds the Giant Slayer here. I think he's very close to getting an item from the Lagoon stack as well. As about to hit 250 if I'm not mistaken, and that could be the difference if the item suits his comp.
Yeah, we'll hopefully get a chance to check out what they're up to just coming out of this carousel, because we are very close to getting into a top 4 situation. Let's see, so Pressman.
Yep, 6 away.
All right, yep, there we go. Graves fully itemized. We've got even more Graves adding to the field. I don't think Preston is going to be necessarily picking up... Wait a second. We actually do have quite a lot of Graves here, but this seems like a bit of a pie in the sky to try and go for Graves 3.
Yeah, going to be selling them there. Going to get the Bard instead, hoping for that Bard pair, or maybe even more the Pantheon pair with a Guardian emblem online here as well. 3 Guardian on this board for Preston. And I'm not sure if he can do it. He has to survive for at least a few more rounds to try and sneak into that top 4. Kerm X also on the Graves comp, currently sitting in 4th place with 32 HP, but he's up against one of the stronger players in the lobby, Salvi. Where will these Cosmic Flares from this Lux go? Oh, massive Bard ult.
Yeah, we're going to be able to slow things down dramatically, but we do get the Bard ult back from the other side as well. Salvi's Lux is incredibly strong, but that Graves is right at her doorstep, looking to try and get the shots in. Varus buys a few more seconds, but I don't think the cast is going to quite come in time. Graves barely alive, but enough to put Salvi down.
Bloodthirster is found from the Lagoon stacks there as well. Graves already triple itemized. I think he has the items he needs, Bloodthirster. Maybe not so necessary in this case because Thrill the Hunt is an augment that has been picked up by Preston in 3-2. And now we'll see what Salvi's looking like he's going to do. He's going to be now at 9 HP, Peter. He needs to come back into this game, but he's pretty much hit his cap. He's hit all his 3 stars. What more can he do at this point in the game?
Well, the big thing for Salvi they've got left on the bench is that Zephyr, so we've got anticipation of probably at least one round where they can just kind of cheat it out by dropping that Zephyr at the last second. But it is very narrow here. Again, you're looking to try and avoid any bottom 4 finishes at all today.
Oh.
Nice knock-up on our friend Graves. Of course, we've got the Giga Emperor of Vlad staying nice and safe to start with. The Lux is firing across most of the formation, but Graves is pretty much safe. He's going to start going directly onto Lux and deletes her.
Not going to be enough. The Varus isn't fully itemized, doesn't do enough damage, is not the main carry of that comp. Kerm X will stay alive, and Salvi will say bye-bye in this game. 6th place position for him. Not the worst, but also very far from the best for a player that is considered one of the favorites to win this tournament and go all the way to the Dragonlance Championship.
Well, coming into our next item drop, of course, we do need to remember, looking up the table, while Preston has been holding on by their fingertips for a while, he's looking at a much easier field to defeat going forwards. We've got 26 for Bricks, and the top HP total for Tex is only 32. There is not a big gap between 5th and 1st right now.
And we did see Bricks actually use that spatula to make the Mirage crest in this case, going to the vertical 8 Mirage with Spell Sword's Enchantment as the Mirage variant for this game. He was leading the HP for so long, but now starting to fall off a tiny bit. His only goal is to secure this top 4, something that Preston and Kerm are also trying to do in this case. And Kerm now sitting at the top spot, we talked about it. He lost a lot of HP early on. He hit the units and the items and the comp he wanted to hit that he's so comfortable playing. He's executed it so well and is now sitting at the very top of the standings going into stage 6.
And it's amazing Kermex can still be holding on to 50 gold and a win streak at this point, being up at the top. But this day is all about being hyper-dominant, and Kermex certainly starting us off very well. We'll see what Lucas has got. Again, we are with the oft-delayed Siphon comp, so popular in this lobby, but perhaps a trap for many who have ridden upon this path. Oh, we can see the damage is pretty good, but Graves on the back line is enough to dance through the ashes and take out so many. Lucas takes a huge loss, and Preston is now in 3rd.
It looks like the NA players knew what they were doing playing Graves and Seraphine. They were contesting each other, but still both players able to almost sneak into this top 4. Lucas took a massive hit. Bricks takes a massive hit as well. And this lobby is so close. Kermex with a bit of an edge, 32 HP for him, but everyone else just 7 HP away from Lucas to Bricks. It's anyone's game to sneak into this top 4 to start getting those points to try and make it to the top 2 spots at the end of the day.
Well, a big upgrade for Bricks is going to be the Yasuo 2. We saw him be the last one standing before. We've certainly got a pretty good setup here. We have got Protector's Vows for days, so presumably Deja will get the time she needs to be able to ramp up. And of course, Yasuo will get the time it needs to ramp up their own spell.
Positioning is going to be so important here. Deja switched to the right side just in the last minute. Lucas's Shio is going to try and sneak his way to Deja as quickly as possible, but Idas is going to be in the way. It's all about this Siphon Rampage. If it sneaks into that corner where Deja is and takes a big old bite of that Deja, it could be game over, but no, goes for that Idas instead. The damage comes through, the bite will come through, doesn't quite kill the Deja, buys a bit more time. Gunblade healing the Yasuo as well. Shio now targeted, killed, only up to Jace. Jace can't do it by himself. Luke is going to be taken down in the 5th place position. Tex Summers gets 4th. for the Argentinian player. And Prestivan, Kuramex, both in the top 3. NA viewers must be very, very happy to see how this game 1 has panned out. But EMEA is still on top.
That's true for now, but Kuramex did just hit level 9, and Prestivan is on a win streak coming in. So Brix, I don't think, is remotely comfortable. They have got no money at all. It's all down to the position now to try and beat back the advancing NA competitors.
Yeah, Brix has hit his cap, but I think a top 3 to start things off is good for all of these players, although, of course, you want to get those wins. You want to start off with that big momentum, Peter.
All right, we'll see. Let's see. So it will be up against Brix's Ghost for Prestivan. Of course, Prestivan on that 4-round win streak. That Graves is doing an absolute ton of work, but will get stunned up in the middle. A few more seconds bought. This front line is pretty tanky as well, because remember, of course, we've got the Idas with the double Rascal's gloves, the good items, but Graves is still staying alive. No one can touch him. He's just too damn strong. As we see Brix take the L. Prestivan, I think, is about to stay alive as well. And NA fans, yeah, up against the one Yasuo. If that had been a 1v1, a very different story.
You know, I told Piehat not to caster curse his own countryman, and here I go, hyping up EMEA, and now Brix takes a massive loss down to 3 HP. Apparently, Peter had the memory of a goldfish, which I think dragons definitely do not. They're wise, ancient beings, and they are also in our Stage 6 Carousel. Thieves Glove's going to be picked up for Kurum. Prestivan picks up a spatula, and Brix is going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it does not seem like any more than third place is really on the cards here for Brix, but certainly for Prestivan, an incredible showing for them to really come back from the absolute brink and hold on. You have to know that Sergio is smiling right now watching this stream, having the little bro, really just perform way above what we expected from the early game.
Biggest difference here is going to be the augments for Kuramex. He has the prep. I assume he's prepped most, if not all of his units. Those extra stats can go a very long way, but it's 4 Guardian online, 2 Guardian emblems for Prestivan here. Not the usual way you assemble this comp, but can definitely be very effective. This comp is all about getting shielding, armor, MR online, and letting Graves slowly become a menace. Brix trying to stay alive here, Peter.
Yeah, again, it's all eyes on our friend Graves, who has taken the attention of Deja. She's going to be able to chunk down the magic resist, the heal coming out from Soraka as well, and Graves is dropped. Without the Graves, I don't know if there's any way Prestivan can survive. We are pretty far in. They're on stage 7 as of yet, but with the big gun gone, a huge win on the cards for Brix. Last bit of damage being done, and Prestivan gets knocked out in third. Honestly, I think that's still an extremely strong showing.
Especially considering the circumstances in Stage 3. Prestivan loads into the carousel, see a Graves with a chain, and he sees Kurum take it away from him. That must have been a feeling like, oh my god, I'm about to go 8th place. But no, he turns it around in Stage 4. He assembles his comp, he stabilizes, and he finally gets a 3rd place to start things off in this day, or not day 1, in game 1, because there's only one day today, Peter.
Day.
It's all about this one-day tournament. There's no second chance after this one. This is the last chance qualifier.
The last chance saloon. Brix up against Kuramex 1v1. Taking down one friend Graves. Let's see if they can do it again. 8 Mirages, of course. An absolutely titanic force to have to deal with. We have got Soraka, who will, of course, be keeping the front line up nice and healthy. Good stun onto the main force of the field. Graves is still alive, though. It has not taken aggro as of yet, though, taking a little bit of damage on the way in. No, it's being switched across to Seraphine. The Edge of Night does the job. Brix so close to getting another first, but they'll have to take the knee. Kuramex takes the first game of the day.
Kuramex, the people's champion, a player that has been around for so long. He's a legendary figure in the NA TFT competitive scene, and he's come into this